Hare Krishna. Please subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon. Never miss any updates.
हरे कृष्णा नमामो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So welcome to you all for this session on chapter 5 called Karma Sannyasa Yoga. So in the previous chapter, Krishna had explained about importance of transcendental knowledge, Adhyatmika Jnana. So while concluding that chapter, Krishna in the last two verses had set up two specific indications to Arjuna which had made Arjuna confused. In one verse he is saying, with knowledge renounce all sorts of activities. In another verse it is saying, equipped with yoga, engage in fighting. So now Arjuna is literally confused. At one place you are saying renounce everything, the second thing you are saying fight. So how is renouncement and working in karma yoga, dovetailing your activities for Krishna's purpose, how both can be simultaneously be executed? This is what Arjuna's question was. So with that confusion, this chapter starts and Krishna is going to elaborate practically how one has to engage in bhakti. This entire chapter is trying to bring us to the platform of bhakti or symptoms of one who is achieving towards bhakti. So there are technical details which are going to be elaborated between two classes of people, those who follow the impersonalistic path or the atheistic path and those who follow the devotional path. We will try to understand these technical differences also. So here starts with Arjuna's specific inquiry. Arjuna is asking, Sannyasam karmanam Krishna punar yogam cha samshashi. Sannyasam karmanam. Sannyasa means renounce. You are saying Sannyasam karmanam Krishna. Oh Krishna, you are saying, you are asking me to karmanam renounce Sannyasa. Then punar yogam cha samshashi. And again you are saying with yoga you engage in work. Yachaya etayor ekam. What is best of this both? You just give me one thing which is ekam, which is the best of these two. You decide yachaya, what is beneficial for me. Yachaya etayor ekam, of these two, what is ekam, please communicate. Tanme bruhi sunishchitam, which is definitively very helpful. Nishchitam means definite. Sunishchitam means even more definite. Of this more, please tell me which is beneficial for me of these two. Because Arjuna got confused between what is renouncement of work and work with devotion. So he was not able to clearly perceive what is Krishna's understanding or Krishna's style of communication. See, this is in a consideration because Arjuna is actually a great devotee of the Lord. Why he has been selected has been mentioned in the previous chapter itself. He is having two qualifications. Bhaktosi me saka cheti. He is a bhakta and he is a saka. Saka means friend. Then so many other qualified people were there. Why Arjuna was specifically chosen to be instructed for Bhagavad Gita? Because he was a qualified person. He had the special abilities which others do not possess. Because he is he was the friend of Lord Krishna and he is a devotee of Lord Krishna. That's why he has been chosen for Bhagavad Gita's recipient. So if he is specially chosen, then how could Arjuna become confused? No, Arjuna's apparent confusion is because all this information will be available for others in the future. Like a common man, Arjuna is presenting all these questions on our behalf, so that we all can understand this knowledge in the future and we all could benefit by these teachings of Lord Krishna. So, what is work in renouncement and what is work in devotion? What are these two specific activities and how Krishna is answering his decision? Because Arjuna had specifically requested which is more beneficial for me and you should definitely give me an answer. You should not again further confuse me in this subject. So Krishna starts saying, Sannyasaha karma yogascha nishreyasa karaubhav. Both are good for liberation. Nishreyasa karaubhav. So both are especially recommended for liberation. Tayostu karma sannyasi, karma yogo vishishtate. Of these two, instead of karma sannyasi, karma yoga is vishishtate, is the best of the two. So work in devotion, devotional service is better than renunciation of works. Then why it is important and what basis is Krishna is saying? See, when you say A is better than B, so you should say the qualities of A and qualities of B. See, with these considerations, we are able to come to the conclusion, in this basis A is better, in this basis B is inferior. Now Krishna is going to explain these details. What is work in devotion? The second thing is what is renouncement of work. Krishna starts defining who is a sannyasi. Because if you have to understand what is renouncement, you should know what is sannyasa. Sannyasa manas tattva. So one who neither hates nor desires the fruits of his activities is known as to be always renounced. Not that by external dress one is considered as sannyasi. No. If it is his internal manas tattva, he is not attached to anything visibly, externally, internally. So these are the symptoms. One who neither hates nor desires the fruits of his activities is known to be renounced. Such a person is liberated from all dualities, easily overcomes material bondage and is completely liberated. So what is the specific point? He should be liberated from all dualities of life. Because in this world everything is in dualistic understanding. What is a dualistic? Heat, cold. Excessive heat we cannot tolerate, excessive cold we cannot tolerate. When we are in excessive heat, we would like to have cold. When we are in excessive cold, we would like to have heat. Or when happiness comes, distress will come. When distress comes, happiness comes. They are all daylight. There is always this duality substance. So because of this dualistic world, our perceptions keep changing. For example, I like one sweet. Take for example, I like rasgulla. I would like to eat rasgulla. But if in my food, all 3 times of the day, only rasgulla is served, no other item is served. So how long will I eat rasgulla? How many rasgullas I will eat? 1, 2, first time, third, fourth, but after fifth, I become distasteful for the same, which is very good tasteful for me, I become distasteful. After some time, I feel like vexed up. I don't want this sweet at all. So sometimes we become very much fascinated, sometimes we become completely opposite to it. So this is the concept of duality in this world. And by this process what happens, we can easily overcome material bondage. Because we become attracted and we become repulsive. Attraction and repulsion are the third chapter Krishna said, Raga Dvesha Vimuktaistu. Because the senses becomes raga, attached, sometimes become dvesha, we become hatred. So these dualities symptoms are exhibited in these two. One who is able to cross over these two, he becomes eligible for liberation and he becomes completely liberated from material bondage. He is able to overcome this material bondage. So then further Krishna explains, there are different processes in trying to understand Krishna. A renunciation is followed in the process of Sankhya Yoga and Bhakti, work in devotion, is followed in Bhakti Yoga. So what is the technical difference in between these two? Common subject is both are directing towards the same point. One is like watering the root, the other is like identifying the root. There is a tree. If we have to give food for the tree, what is the possible opportunity? Can I sprinkle water on the leaves, twigs, branches, fruits and flowers? So by that way the tree will not be satisfied. If you have to satisfy the tree, you have to water the root. So this Sankhya analysis is something like people try to research this world and come to the root of the conclusion. What is that root is? Come to the point of Vishnu. So in this process, wow, they have to analyze the entire world, study its matter scrutinizingly and study the spirit, study the understanding of the God, nature, Prakriti, all these things they study, then they will come to the point that everything is emanating from Vishnu. So when they come to this understanding, then they become detached from this world. Because nothing is the source, so how I can be attached to something temporary? We would not like to associate with something temporary. If you know that it is going to stay for a one day, will we develop attachment for that one temporary subject? No. We would like to attach to something which is eternally connected to us. So, this material in this world, these two categories, attachment and detachment. In bhakti, we become attached to Krishna, and in Sankhya process, we become detached from matter. So, one thing is finding the root, other thing is watering the root. So, Sankhya analysis is something like one becomes detached from matter, and bhakti is something like one becomes attached to Krishna. So, detached from matter means we become from negative to we come to zero. But without the positive engagement, that is also not a proper platform. That's why Krishna is recommending once there is something vacant, that vacancy has to be filled. So, you have detached means you have removed something from our heart. If there is no attachment there, what happens again? Mind will go back to old things, old habits. It has to be replaced with higher subjects. We become attached to matter, but Krishna is saying show that same attachment to Krishna. In that way, our Krishna's devotees, in that way we will become liberated from this world. So, this point is been enumerated. So, one who knows the position reached by the means of renunciation can also be attained by the works in devotion, and one who therefore sees the path of works and the path of renunciation are one, see things as they are. So, this is the person who is in knowledge. So, identifying the root and watering the root is the same thing. But one thing is, in identification of the root, it takes a long time for them. But watering the root, automatically he starts from day one. So, these are the technical things in the differentiation. If you have to understand these two things, then Krishna provides us this information in analysis. Prabhupada explains us it through various purports, various points in the analysis in this purports. He says, if you have to become sustained in this renunciation, one has to be first purified by other prescribed duties in renounce category. But in bhakti category, the process itself is purification process. Then simply jnana is insufficient for liberation in this process of renouncement, but in the process action is must. One has to engage. Bhakti means full engagement. 24 hours, tasmat sarveshu kaleshu ma manusmara. Krishna is saying, in all times and all circumstances, you have to engage me. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. It is a full engagement process. There is never a time that you become slackened, or there is never a point that we take a break. And in this renunciation process, there is every chance of falling down. But in this process, there is always success is guaranteed, and one is assured of going back to Krishna's Vaikuntha's planet. And this renunciation process is incomplete because it is not full. Identifying the root is not full. Under just becoming detached from matter is not complete. We have to become attached. Unless it is that vacant part is fulfilled, there is every chance of falling down. That's why it is said. So this process, detachment process, is like finding the root, and work in devotion is like watering the root. So in this process, the renunciation process, there is no happiness. In the work in devotion, it is full of happiness. Susukum kartum avyayam. By Krishna is saying in 9th chapter, by engaging in this process, one becomes very happy. And in this process of renunciation, bahunam janmanam, it takes many lifetimes. But here Krishna says, Kshiparam bhavati, in one lifetime you will come back to me. And in this process, they study Sankhya philosophy. In the Bhakti Yoga process, they study Srimad Bhagavatam. Once who has attached to this material world, there is every chance that by renouncing, if they are not attached to Krishna, that attachment factor will come back and they start engaging in philanthropic activities or altruistic activities. But in devotional service, there are multiple engagements. Simultaneously, they are so much engaged that they don't have opportunity, or they do not have any other time or opportunity to engage in any other services. Everything all becomes very technically, they are not carried away by other subjects at all. So Krishna is suggesting further, sanyasastu mahabaho dukkam aptum ayogataha yoga yukto munir brahma na achirenadi gacchati. Chirena means in very short time, in without delay, because by engaging in these works of devotion, one is assured of going back to Krishna in very short time. Achirena, in achirakala means very short time he will be going back to Krishna by engaging in bhakti. So if you have to control this body in bhakti, there are different levels of things which we have to be regulated. There are senses which divert us, there is mind which divert us, and there is intelligence which divert us. So these three things have to be regulated. So Krishna is saying in the next chapter, by engaging in the process of yoga, that is bhakti yoga, one must bhakti yoga yukto vishuddhatma, vijitatma jitendriyaha. Vishuddhatma, our intelligence should be purified. Vijitatma, one has to conquer his mind. Jitendriyaha, one has to regulate his senses. If he is able to clean up his intelligence, conquer his mind, conquer his senses, Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma, he will be equal to all living entities. In his perspective, every living entity, different bodies are, because of their karma, they are having these things. But as spirit soul, they are all one and same. He does not discriminate between gross bodies. Because everybody is, by spirit, they are all in one in nature. Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma, Kurvan Napina Lipyate, he will not become entangled in all his interactions, because he knows everything in the spirit platform. He does not become entangled on the material platform. So what is his consciousness, how he is able to work? He sees in his body all things are acting as per the body regulation. When I am eating, my mouth is chewing and body is digesting and the energy is being supplied to the body. My physical hands are moving, my legs are moving, my physical body is like I am breathing, sleeping, inhaling, exhaling, evacuating, brushing, like that body is doing its necessity, its things just to maintain, bodily functions are done just to maintain this body. But spirit soul is different from all these activities, that is his perception. In all his endeavors, all these things and all, it is senses and interacting with the sense objects. So that the soul, who is actually the person, he is aloof from all these understandings. So how is he aloof? What way can we say he is aloof? So Krishna gives one analogy. He says, Brahmani adaya karmani sangam tektva karotiha lipyate na sapapena padma patram imambasa. Padma patram iva ambasa. See, when we go to lakes, we see lotus flowers. The speciality of this lotus flower and lotus leaf and water is, lotus leaf is floating on the water, but when you put a drop of water on the lotus leaf, they both are separated, like oil and water. They doesn't mix. So lotus leaf and water also doesn't mix. The water becomes skiddy from the lotus leaf. It does not stay on the lotus leaf. So even though he is in the midst of all the things, this devotee, he is not connected to any of these things. That is the specific point what Krishna is communicating in this verse here. So what is his understanding? Kayena manasa buddhya kevaler indriyerapi yoginah karma kurvanti sangam tyaktvatma shuddhaye. The yogis, how do they act? Kayena manasa buddhya, by their body, by their mind, by their intelligence, by their senses, they engage in all sorts of activities. Yoginaha karma kurvanti, they engage in all sorts of activities. Sangam tyaktva atma shuddhaya, for all these things is basically to purify for the purpose of purification only. They do not avoid, the senses are problem, let me avoid using the senses. Mind is problem, let me avoid. This body is a problem, let me avoid. This intelligence is a problem, let me avoid. They do not avoid any of these things. They engage this mind, body, intelligence and senses just for the purpose of purification. So next, what has happened to them? That steadily devoted soul attains unadulterated peace. Because he offers the results of all his activities to Krishna, he is very peaceful. He is not bothered of the result that I have to enjoy. Does everything as a matter of duty for the satisfaction of the Lord. So in that way he is very happy, peaceful, joyful. But a person who is not in divine consciousness or who does not work for Krishna, who is greedy for his fruits of labor, becomes entangled. See, what is the difference between a person in bhakti and an outside person? Krishna is saying everybody would like to do for something, result. So like devotees are also working morning to night, general people are also working from morning to night. But what is the differentiation between devotees working and outside persons working? Like Krishna is trying to discriminate, like a person is building a house, he is trying to construct a house, and devotees are also trying to construct a temple. Both are construction works, both are the same propensity, same activity, same tension, same details. How one is different and how the other is different. If you are building a house for oneself, it is like I want to stay in it, I want to enjoy for it, it is for my sense gratification. I becomes obligated for that. But when I build a temple, the same endeavor I am putting forward, it is for the purpose of the Lord and it is purpose for the devotees. In that way, I become liberated from my work. So the tendency to work is there within us. But if we try to use that tendency to work for one's own purpose, we become entangled in the process. But if we use the tendency to work, if we dovetail that work for the service of the Lord, we become liberated from the same process. So this is what Krishna is trying to update us in these things. So how one can become liberated? See, one place we are saying the body, all these actions are being committed by the senses and the sense objects. Krishna is also saying that Jiva is aloof from all its activities. No, but when a mistake is done, when a problem happened, they are blaming the soul for it. When accidentally or purposefully I go and hit somebody, or I kill somebody, I murder somebody, so then I will be held. We are saying the senses are interacting with the sense objects. That's why body has done, Atma has not done any activity. Then why I am being obligated? Why I am being punished? Why that sinful reaction of hurting somebody is coming to me when to the Jiva? So Krishna is explaining the position of the three doers in this world. There are three categories of doers. One, Atma. Two, Prakriti. Three, Paramatma. So what is the relationship? How these things in this world happen? That is being explained in the next topic. Krishna says, Sarva karmani manasa sanyasyaste sukham vasi. So when the embodied being who is able to control his nature and mentally renounce sanyasyaste, by manasa, he is able to, by mind, he is able to renounce all sorts of activities, all sorts of actions. Navadvare puredehi. In this body there are 9 holes. Navadvare puredehi. Naiva kurvanna karayan. He is not causing somebody to work, or nor he is engaging himself in work. So in this body there are 9 holes. Navadvare pure. This is a pura, this is a city with 9 gates. 2, 4, 6, 7, then anus and rectum. These are the 9 holes. So through these 9 gates, by any opportunity, the soul, when it is quitting the body, can go through any of these 9 gates. So that's why it is called Navadvare Pure Dehi. In this Sharira, there are 9 gates by which soul can exit. So the soul is staying with this body which is having 9 gates. So how is he staying? What is his interactions and all? Na kartrutvam na karmani lokasya srajati prabho na karma phala samyogam swabhavastu pravartate. All these activities, he is the master of the city. I am the in charge of this body, I am the owner of this body, that embodied spirit. He does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he creates the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature. So what is the position of Jiva in this body? In this body is like a chariot. Their chariot has 5 horses. These 5 horses are controlled by reins. Reins is the mind. And there is a driver called intelligence who is controlling all of these things. And the passenger, who is considered to be the soul, is in the back seat. So in this world, what is happening? We have given our power of attorney to mind, intelligence and the senses. They keep diverting us in different directions. So this Jiva is actually like a spectator. He is just watching the things what are happening. Everything is being carried out by the senses in accordance with his mind and his intelligence. So for that he is not acting, or he is neither causing others to act, but all this is enacted by the modes of nature. So you desire and this body is facilitated. So how is this interaction happening with this body and this Jiva? He is just desiring and this body is facilitating, is explained here, where in the next verse Krishna says, nor does the Supreme Spirit assume anyone's sinful or pious activities. Embodied beings are bewildered because of the ignorance which covers their real knowledge. See, we say not even a blade of grass moves without the sanction of the Paramatma. So without this Krishna sanctioning, if Krishna had sanctioned, then he should be liable for something wrong that is happening. So why you are blaming me? Because Krishna had sanctioned, he should be responsible. Krishna is saying, no, I am not at all being responsible for whatever desires you go through. Whatever you desire, something like children, when they are small, they do not understand the technical details. They run behind the parents and say, I want this, I want this, I want this. Then what do parents do? They would like to say, no, please avoid this, is not good for you. But the child is very resistant, very technically he is strong, stubborn, all these things, and I want. Then what will parents do? They will try to facilitate, but they say at your own risk. So in that way, like the Lord is also there as Paramatma. When the Jiva desires, Lord technically says this is not good for you. But we resist, we are very stubborn and we say, I want to do it at any cost. Then Krishna says, okay, if your karma is there, if your account is there, I will sanction it. So then the result you have to enjoy for it, whatever it is, either good or bad. So in that way, Krishna is saying as Paramatma, he is completely aloof. It is the Jiva who is forcing this nature to happen. So Paramatma says, I will sanction once you have that specific karma, that it is you are responsible for all your desires. I am not at all responsible for any of the resultant what is coming here. So then further Krishna is saying, Jnanena tu tadadajnanam yesham nashitam atmanaha Tesham adityavat jnanam prakashyati atparam. So one who is in knowledge, he knows what is to be done and what not to be done. So with the technical details, he will be able to act properly. So one is enlightened with the knowledge by which nescience is destroyed. So when we are in knowledge, we are free from ignorance. So on this knowledge, what this knowledge about the soul, super soul and the material nature, what will this help? This knowledge will reveal everything. Just like Tesham adityavat jnanam, as the sunlight, see, till 5 o'clock in the morning, everything is dark. When everything is dark, when there is no sunlight, all these things and all, nothing is clear for us. What is there opposite, in front, all these things and all, we have to use a torchlight or light or anything. But as day progresses and when we see the bright brownish in the sky itself, then everything starts revealing to us. And by 6 o'clock, everything is perfectly clear. We are able to see minutely what, where, how, all these things and all. So this knowledge is something like that which will reveal everything to us in detail, so that the person in knowledge is able to act properly with that understanding, and he is able to avoid things which are going to confuse him or which are going to entrap him or bondage him in this world. So how he is able to engage all these things, then Krishna is saying, Tad buddhayas tad atmanas tad nishtas tad parayanaha. He is working in such a way that Tad buddhayaha, he is surrendering his buddhi to Krishna, Tad atmanaha, his mind towards Krishna, Tan nistaha, his faith in Krishna, Tat parayanaha, Krishna as a refuge. In that way, everything they are surrendering in manasa, vacha, karmana, in that way, everything, whatever he possesses, mind, intelligence, faith, refuge, everything is dedicated to Krishna. Gachanti apunaravrati. In this way, he is able to cleanse himself by this jnana nirduta kalmashaha. By this knowledge, he is able to completely cleanse himself. Jnana nirduta kalmashaha. Kalmashaha means all the unwanted things which are there in this body are completely cleansed off with this knowledge. And gachanti apunaravrati. In this way, he is able to achieve that the path of liberation. He is able to Punaha means who is able to come back. Apunaha means there is no coming back. Once you go to that spiritual world, we will never come back. So that is the point. So what are his symptoms? If that is a person who is advanced in this knowledge, the symptoms are Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini Sunicheva Swapakecha Panditaha Samadarshinaha. That person who is able to achieve the transcendental knowledge, he is a person who is able to see everything on an equal platform. What and all he will see? He will be able to see Vidya Vinaya Sampanne. He is able to see an educated person. He is that educated person, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, who is endowed with knowledge, is able to see Brahmana, he is able to see a Brahmana, he is able to see a cow, he is able to see an elephant, he is able to see a dog, he is able to see a dog eater, and he is Samadarshinaha, Panditaha, he is a learned man, Panditaha Samadarshina, he is able to have that equal vision because he is seeing the spirit soul in everything, gross body may be different. So how is this sense of equality coming to him? That Krishna says, those whose minds are established in sameness and equanimity have already conquered the conditions of birth and death. So if you are able to achieve that higher platform, then we have already crossed this cycle of birth and death symptoms. So they are like Nirdosham hi samam brahma. Dosham means faults. Nirdosham means one who is free from all these unwanted faults. Tasmat brahmani te sthitah. He is situated in the Brahman platform. They are like flawless like Brahman and they are situated like Brahman. They are nirdosham. Dosham means faults. So he comes to the platform of free from all the unwanted things. So how are his exhibit? When there is happiness, he does not become elated in happiness, and when there is distress, he will not sit in a corner and he will cry. He is self-effulgent, self-intelligent. He is able to self-intelligent. He is not bewildered. And he who knows the science of God to be understood to be already situated in transcendence. Somebody says, I am above this bodily concept of life. How do you know? What are his symptoms? So that symptoms are na prahirshyat priyam prapya. When there is priya prapya, na prahirshyat, he is not elated. No dvijet prapya cha apriyam. So he will not cry when there is apriyam. So sthira buddhi, one who is having sthira buddhi, fixed intelligence. Asam mudaha. Mudaha means foolish person, bewildered person, one who is not bewildered, asam mudaha, and who is brahmavid brahmani sthitaha. Brahmavid, one who knows about God, he is brahmani sthitaha. Those are the symptoms of a person who is situated in that transcendence. So how does he act? Further symptoms are described. Bahya sparsheshu ashaktatma. So such a person is not attracted to bahya sparsha, material sense pleasures which come from the external senses and sense object. He is not carried away by the external things. Vindati atmani yatsukam. All his happiness is from within. He is happy from within. Vindati atmani yatsukam. Sabrahma yogo yukta atma. Sukam akshayam asnute, because he is unlimited. In this way he enjoys unlimited happiness. Akshaya means which will diminish. Akshaya means with something which will never be diminished. So sukam akshayam asnute, he will have that unlimited happiness because he is for his sabrahma yoga yuktatma. He is able to concentrate on the supreme in the heart, who is able to focus on the Paramatma in the heart, so he is able to derive unlimited happiness. He will not get carried away by the external happiness. He is able to focus on the internal happiness, that is on the Paramatma. So why does he avoid these external senses and sense objects? Because yehi samsparshaja bhogaha dukkha yonaya evate. The samsparshaja bhogaha, the sense enjoyment coming from samsparsha. Sparsha means contact with the bhoga, with the sense objects. The cause of these sense objects is dukkha yonaya. It will be cause of misery. The result of interacting with the senses and sense objects, what is coming from externally, it is a source of misery. For this misery or happiness, whatever is coming externally will have adi anta. It is having a starting and it is having an end. Adi anta vanta kaunteya nateshu ramate buddhaha. Intelligent people would not like to enjoy that happiness or whatever is coming from external senses and sense objects. Like we would like to see a movie, but once if you see the movie, we will not go and see once more, maybe at max second or twice. But after some time you become disgusted, whole day you cannot see that movie. Or if you read one book, after one time, two times you become disgusted, we would not like to go and read that book. Or something, any of our interaction, there is a start and end to that happiness, what is coming from that. So, nateshu ramate buddhaha. Intelligent people will not try to enjoy that happiness what comes from these external senses and sense objects, because it is the source of misery and it is having a starting point and it is having an ending point. So further Krishna is saying, so this person, he is before quitting this body, who is in that Brahma Samsparsha, who is in that Brahman platform, before quitting of this body, he should be able to tolerate this urges of these material senses, because senses would like to demand. So whenever I see something beautiful thing, my eyes would like to go and focus on that only. But for a Krishna conscious person, if that focusing is avoidable, he would like to tolerate that urges rather than engage the senses in the sense objects. So he would like to check the force of desire and anger, and he is a yogi and he is a happy person in this world. Who is the happiest person? One who is able to tolerate these urges which are driven by the senses towards the sense objects. If he is able to tolerate these senses, urges of the material senses, and check the forces of anger and desire. If I want something, he will be running behind it. If I become angry on somebody, I would like to go and hit him. But so one who is able to regulate himself, one who is able to check these forces, he is the most happiest man and he is an yogi. So definition of yogi. Then further he says, Yo antasukho antararama antarjyotirevacha sa yogi brahma nirvanam brahma bhuto adhikachyati. So one who is able to experience this happiness within, antasukha, antararamaha, one who is active within, tata antarjyotiha, one who is able to illuminate within. So he is actually a perfect mystic. Not that he is liberated in the supreme and he is ultimately, he attains the supreme. Sayogi Brahma Nirvanam Brahma Bhuto Adhikachyati. He is becoming transcendental from this bodily concept of life. He is becoming liberated and he ultimately achieves that that Brahman platform, that the supreme position, that spiritual world he is able to, because by focusing on that Paramatma he is able to become liberated from this world. So Labante Brahma Nirvanam Rushaya Kshina Kalmashaha. Once he is attained at that stage, he is Kshina Kalmashaha. Kalmashaha means unwanted things, or all the unwanted sinful things. In our body they are all there, all these things, that Kshina, he becomes, they all becomes negligent, or they are becomes completely cleansed off. Chinna Dvaita Yata Atmanaha. All his Dvaita means all his dualities are cut to pieces. And Sarvabhuta Hiterataha, he is for the welfare of all living entities. When he sees somebody in trouble, somebody is in trouble, he would not like to give some material result, he would like to give them material, not material benefit immediately, but he would like to liberate from that problem itself. So somebody is begging. If here somebody is begging, what we see, we would like to give one-time food. But he has to go on begging, because for the next times what to do? So if you are able to provide him a better solution so that he will not be able to beg at all. So that will be a proper opportunity. So, and if it is in the, see, Krishna's devotees are very much perspective, they would like to liberate us from this cycle of birth and death, so that we do not go through this cycle which will be binding us in this water world. So Krishna wants us, that devotees, that's why Sarva Bhuta Hite Rataha. So they are the best welfare activities, they engage for that, so that everybody are able to become liberated from this world. That is the best, universally best situation where everybody can act to. So that's such persons, who are they? How do they behave? Kama Krodha Vimuktanam, they are free, completely free from Kama and Krodha, lust and desire and anger, material desires. Yatinam Yatachetasam, they are Abhito Brahma Nirvanam Vartate Viditatmanam. So they are self-realized, self-disciplined, and they constantly endeavor for perfection. Such are his perfectists. So they are able to regulate, they are free from anger and material desires. They are self-realized, they understand their position, they are self-disciplined, they are regulated, and they constantly endeavor for perfection in their process. They are assured of liberation. Vartate Viditatmanam. So abhitaha means they are very assured of future, in this liberation of in this future itself, in this body itself, they become very much qualified to become liberated from this world, and they are assured of going back to Krishna. Now this Krishna says, this assured of going back to Krishna by bhakti can alternatively be achieved by Astanga Yoga also, which is symptomized by pranayama and all these things and all. In the next two verses, Krishna gives a glimpse of alternative path. He says, by shutting out the external sense objects, keeping the eyes and vision concentrated between the two eyebrows, suspending the inward and outward breaths from the nostrils, thus by which controls the mind, senses and intelligence, the transcendentalist becomes free from desire, fear and anger. One who is in this state is certainly liberated. So this is by Ashtanga Yoga process also. You will come to the same situation by practice of bhakti. So Krishna is saying you can alternatively reach in this process of liberation in the process of Ashtanga Yoga also. And in two verses he just given a synopsis of what is this Ashtanga Yoga. And finally, how we can become happy in this world. Everybody is looking for happiness. Everybody is aspiring for happiness. The best and easiest way how one can achieve happiness in this world is explained by Krishna in the peace formula for this world. He says, Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasham. So, for all the yajnas and tapasyas, for all the austerities and sacrifices, I am the Bhokta, I am the enjoyer. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. For Sarvaloka, all the spiritual and material worlds, I am the controller, I am the master of all the material and spiritual worlds. Suhrudam Sarva Bhutanam, I am the friend of all living entities. I am the well-wisher, benefactor, or best friend, dear friend, because he is there as Paramatma in all living entities. I am the most well-wisher or the best well-wishing friend. Then Jnatva Mam Shantim Rachati. By knowing this, one becomes very happy and peaceful in this world. So Krishna is saying this is the peace formula. If we have to become very peaceful and happy in this world, if we have to understand this peaceful, we have to come to this conclusion. Krishna as the Bhokta, Krishna as the Maheshwara, Krishna as the Suhrudam. He is the well-wisher. Krishna as the well-wisher, Krishna as the master, Krishna as the enjoyer. So if these three things perspectively one comes to the conclusion, one surrenders to Krishna with these three aspects, then one becomes very peaceful in this world. Jnatva Mam Shantim Rachati. He attains that unlimited peace and unlimited happiness in this world. So everybody are so much full of anxiety. If you have to become free from anxiety, for everything Krishna is the cause. For everything Krishna is the source. So all my activities should be for the service of Krishna. In this mode, when we start acting, then we become liberated from the result of that activity, and we become very peaceful and we become very happy. We become free from anxiety and we become every opportunity for us to become liberated from this world and go back to Krishna. So this is the essence of chapter 5. Krishna has communicated for us through Bhakti Yoga. He is establishing the point that work with devotion is very essential, and the process is liberating. We become purified of all unwanted things. We are able to see everybody in an equal platform, and we will be able to enjoy happiness within. We do not get carried away by the external senses and sense objects. All that happiness what comes from external senses and sense objects are momentary. They are having a dedicated time, start time and end time, and we become obligated in these external things. So Krishna is saying avoid all these unwanted things. Check the forces of anger and desire. One should be situated within, focus on Paramatma, engage in his devotion, commitment, all these technical qualities whatever have been mentioned in this chapter. With this all these technical details one follows, then he becomes assured of liberation in this body in this very near future itself. So this is the conclusion of this chapter 5. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.